A very warm welcome to IDFC First Bank presents Leaders of Tomorrow Season 11. I'm Ritwika Gupta. Tonight I'll be in an exclusive conversation with Nikhil Chopra, CEO and whole-time director at JB Pharma. In this freewheeling conversation, he speaks to me about the opportunities and challenges in India's pharma industry, innovation, R&D, and the big ideas that are going to impact India's healthcare sector. Listen in. Thank you, Mr. Chopra, for being on Leaders of Tomorrow today.
Thank you, Ritwika and ET Now for inviting me on the show. My pleasure.
So I want to start this interview by asking an overview from you, about the pharma industry in India. What are the growth prospects do you see, and maybe some of the challenges as well, if you could talk to us about?
So Ritwika, before getting into Indian pharma, let me talk in terms of what I have done for the last 2.5 decades. I've spent time more than 2 decades in Indian pharmaceutical sector.
Sure.
And overall, when you look at the sector today, it is around close to $25 billion in value, and growing at a high single-digit growth. Overall, post-COVID, the dynamics of Indian pharmaceutical market has changed in terms of, particularly if you talk about what is happening in the chronic part of the illness, where patients are now feeling in terms of how they should lead a better quality of life, how adherence should be better, and for that, I think many of the companies are doing some good fundamental work in terms of how they can get in the initial phase, diagnosis of the patient in the initial part of the illness, which overall helps the patient to lead a better quality of life, better adherence. And overall, what Indian pharmaceutical sector has been known is a pharmacy capital of the world, where quality and affordable medicines are available. And overall, we want patients to live a very healthy life. That is where we stand. Out of $25 billion market, if you look at 60% of the portfolio overall business is acute and 40% is chronic. And if you look at the burden of disease in the country, where 100 million people suffer from hypertension, there are 100 million people who suffer from lung disease. So more and more emphasis should be put in terms of how we can facilitate early diagnosis, run some consumer campaigns, which I will talk in detail in later part in terms of what we are trying to do. But overall, the focus has to be more on the burden of disease, how it can be reduced, and how at the end of the day, patient can live a good quality life.
Right. So coming to JB Pharma, recently you acquired 4 major brands in your portfolio, out of which there's Glenmark and also Dr. Reddy's brands. Tell me, what do these acquisitions mean for the company in terms of enhancing your overall portfolio?
We being a company, if you look at when we started this journey, when the change of management happened in October 2020, we were close to 1,600 crore in terms of revenue. And out of that, 45% of revenue is coming from India, which was close to 700 crore. And within that 700 crore revenue, the major dominance was in the area of cardiology.
Sure.
For us, there were 2-3 challenges in terms of what we have to now do in India business. Overall, the new product contribution, new launches in JB historically have not been successful. So we thought in terms of what more we can do organically, making these big brands bigger, launching new products. And equally, when we acquired this asset, when KKR acquired 54% stake in this company, we had close to 800 crore cash on books. Sure. So we thought, let us acquire some business which has a very good starting point and has synergy with the business that we are doing.
Right.
In terms of what I'm trying to tell, that we want to play where we want to win. So the first asset that we acquired was this company called Senzyme, which is in the area of probiotic, where probiotics have synergy with antibiotic, because probiotics are generally used for healthification of gut.
Sure.
So Sporolec is a brand which we acquired as a part of Senzyme entity. When we acquired, this was around close to 65 crore annual revenue. Today, in last 1.5 years, the revenue is close to 90 crores.
Okay.
So a lot of synergy we saw in terms of this portfolio, what we acquired from Senzyme.
Sure.
That helped us. Equally, this asset as a Senzyme as a company, which was 130 crore revenue, what we acquired was growing at hardly 9-10%. In last 1.5 years, we have made this asset grow at around 18 to 20% with better distribution practices, looking at line extensions that we have launched in the entire portfolio, and overall looking at what more we can do with this big brand. So that is part one to the entire acquisition that we did. Then we acquired a small portfolio from Dr. Reddy's, which is more in the area of pediatrics. 4 brands we acquired. The revenue that we acquired was close to 35 crores at the cost of 100 crores. Third is what I'm looking at, that this can be an exciting journey in the coming time. We acquired sacubital valsartan in the area of heart failure. That is what we acquired, which today is close to 80-90 crore brand. What we acquired was close to 60 to 70 crores. This product we acquired from Novartis.
Sure. You mentioned about KKR, acquiring a major stake in the company. So take us through how that has impacted in terms of your business strategy. There was a bit of restructuring and business transformation. If you can talk to us about that a little bit.
So this all started in October 2020, where KKR took 54% stake from the JB family, JB Modi family. Our revenue was close to 1,600 crore, 45% of business was coming from India, 55% business was coming from our international business. Overall, we looked at in terms of what we can do with our business in India. We got into the entire new go-to-market strategy, optimize our resources.
Yeah.
We had close to 4 divisions organically where we were. Today, last 2.5 years, from 4, now today we have 8 divisions.
Okay.
We have created a division in the area of heart failure. We have got into the areas of pediatrics, respiratory. New launches have come in. Our new launch contribution was hardly 1.5%. Today our new launch contribution is close to 5%.
Sure.
In last 2 years, we have launched close to 30-40 new products. Equally, a lot of discipline has come in the way we have been working in terms of the field force that we have got. All our 2,000 medical reps who meet close to 2.5 lakh doctors, all are equipped with iPads. We have invested in Salesforce automation, Salesforce excellence, digital detailing, embrace technology. We are looking at what more we can do in terms of partnering with the healthcare professionals.
Right.
A lot of those efforts have been put. That is what we are trying to do.
So at this point, I also want to talk about the kind of role innovation and technology plays for JB Pharma. And are you also happy with the overall research and development that's taking place in the overall sector?
We as a company, if you look at JB as a company, because our contribution in terms of research and development from overall sales perspective is only 1.25 to 1.5%. Our 60% of portfolio that we today sell comes from outside manufacturing. What we do at our R&D is threefold things. We have a small business in US, which is close to $30 million. We have 15 ANDAs, which we own as a company. Every year, historically, we have been filing 1 to 2 ANDAs. Last year, we filed 4 ANDAs. That is what we could do. That is what we are trying to do. And over a period of time, you will see us filing more and more number of ANDAs. Also, what we enjoy as benefit at our R&D is some of the technologies that we own in terms of OROS technology, oral disintegrated tablet that we have, laser technology, and more effort has been put in terms of what we can have best in class in terms of our manufacturing unit. If you look at our manufacturing plants, they have adopted the entire SCADA technology, which conceptually enables the entire automated machines, and there is no human intervention. And our quality control, if you look at, they have adopted the LIMS technology, which overall enables in terms of which is enabled with the SAP technology, which helps overall to ease the processes. So a lot of that type of investment has been done in terms of when we look at R&D technology, what we do. Last but not the least, also we are a dominant player in the world of lozenges. That is what I was referring to in the world of CDMO. And there, we have the capacity to manufacture close to 2 billion units of lozenges annually. And we are the 3rd largest player in terms of manufacturing capability.
Right. So you spoke about lozenges, manufacturing, where you are topping the charts, as well as you're also a top player in cardiology. So are these going to be like growing areas of focus for JB Pharma in time to come?
In 2020, India business was contributing 45% of business. In last 2 years, the journey that we have traveled, we have almost doubled our business from around 800 crores to now 1800 crores, which is to India business to overall revenue is today close to 53%. Going ahead, 80% of our time, effort, energy will go for India. Right. We want to take this contribution to 60%. Overall India contribution to the revenue. And within India, today chronic part of the portfolio is contributing around 52%, which also we want to bring to 60%.
Sure.
So our aspiration has to be in top 5 in cardiology. The cardiology market in the country is close to 25,000 crore. So still long way to go. That is what we want to do. Equally, we have got a good presence in the area of now probiotics, which we want to focus on. Pediatrics, that is where we are. And secondly, lozenges, which last year our revenue was close to $50 million, which contributed 12% to overall revenue. Yeah. In next 3 years, you should see this contribution coming to around 20%. So India and CDMO are going to be two big areas of focus in terms of what we want to do.
It's time for a quick break here. We'll be back shortly. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You're watching IDFC First Bank presents Leaders of Tomorrow Season 11 in conversation tonight with Nikhil Chopra, CEO and whole-time director, JB Pharma. Mr. Chopra, while I was researching for this interview, I read that somewhere you mentioned that you're taking an approach to marketing beyond the pill, which includes both organic and inorganic initiatives. So tell me, especially post-COVID, how has digitization impacted the way the pharma industry and especially JB Pharma communicates with its consumers?
For us in India, if you talk about, there are three major customers. First, the customers are our people. Yeah. 2,000 people who go every day, go and meet doctors. Second is the number of doctors that we meet, that is around 2.5 lakh doctors. And third is the patient who consume JB's medicine. Mm-hmm. So we are looking at from a perspective in terms of, I spoke earlier in terms of how at least all our people now carry iPads, in terms of technology that we have been using, in terms of the digital detailing which has to happen in the clinic. That all efforts have been put in terms of what more we can do. Equally, in couple of therapeutic areas and more in the area of cardiology, dietary habits which patients have to follow, exercise they have to follow, all those efforts have been put in this entire campaign called BP Right Karo. So what we are trying to do when we talk of beyond the pill is to influence the ecosystem, to do more for the consumers, to do more for the patients. That is what is the effort that we have been putting. Right. Equally, when I spoke about heart failure, 20 million people suffer from heart failure, and the product pre-patent, the cost of therapy was close to 50,000 rupees a year. Now the cost of therapy has come down to 25,000 rupees a year. The disease is diagnosed with the help of 2D and 3D echo, which itself takes time. So we have intervened in between, and we have initiated close to 500 heart failure clinics with the help of healthcare professionals, where we make patients aware that these are the symptoms that you may suffer. You should land in the clinic of doctor, and there's a scorecard which you fill. Then you may potentially suffer from heart failure. So why not to get it early diagnosed and lead a better quality of life? Right. So those type of efforts we are putting in terms of how you should be looking at things beyond the pill. Also, we closely work with Cardiology Society of the country. We closely work with Indian Academy of Pediatrics. We closely work with Respiratory Society of the country in devising new guidelines which will only help to disseminate the knowledge to general physicians. And these all things are done with some of the top doctors in the country who are a part of the societies. Right. And with them, we devise the guidelines and disseminate that with the help of webcasts to 10,000, 15,000, 20,000 doctors at one given time. So, not traditionally going and detailing the product in the clinic, also looking at what we can do in terms of closely working with the healthcare professionals on guidelines, dissemination of knowledge, going to the consumers. This all, we as a company, close to 2,000 crores are doing things in our own way.
Nice. Mr. Chopra, I know you touched upon this earlier, but if you could also tell us in detail about your international business expansion, how's the growth trajectory been like on that front?
So last year has been good in terms of where we stand from an international perspective. Outside India, we have Russia and South Africa as our home market. Yeah. In South Africa, we are known as Biotech. It's a 100% owned subsidiary of JB Pharma, and the business is close to 300 crores. It's a split between tender and private market, 50-50%. Tender market, the margins are not great, but we continue to participate and we supply good amount of drugs to South Africa government. Russia is a branded market business. We have 8 to 10 products where our people go and detail products in the clinic of doctor. That business is close to 200 crores. So this is Russia and South Africa. What I spoke earlier, we have $40 million business in ROW market. ROW is a cluster, is a business which is in 4 clusters: Sub-Saharan Africa, Latin America, Southeast Asia, and Middle East. Right. The effort is now how to get more progressive portfolio in those parts of the world. So that is what the initiative we have put in terms of filing new products, because there you have to file the products with the regulatory part of that world, where we've been, our regulatory team in India have been closely working with them and looking at what more products we can launch. So that is what we are trying to do in our ROW market.
Sure. At this point, if you could also tell us, how are you fostering a culture of socially, environmentally and ethically, responsible way of doing business? And also in terms of what does sustainability mean for your business?
I'm happy to share that at least we could publish our maiden sustainability report. And being a responsible company, we have been continuously working on tomorrow how we, being a pharmaceutical company, should also look at the world should be more greener and cleaner. In last 2 years, if you look at the overall energy consumption from an organization perspective, has gone down by 9.4%. We have got 8 manufacturing units, which is in Daman and Panoli. And equally in the same period, in last 2 years, overall the scope 1 and scope 2 emission also have been down by 14 and 10% respectively. And we ensure that there's a zero liquid discharge overall setup that we have got in our manufacturing plant. This is an initiative which we have put in place very early for us as a company. But at the end of the day, we are looking at how do we sustain this, and being a responsible company, look at what more we can do for the safer environment in the coming time.
Right. Mr. Chopra, the theme for our show this season is Ideas for New India. So I would like to ask you, what do you think is that one big idea or a couple of ideas that are really going to impact India's healthcare sector in the coming years?
2 things I would like to talk about. I think I will repeat in terms of what I spoke earlier, that effort have been put, but I think if in a designed way, if all pharmaceutical companies, major pharmaceutical companies and government comes and look at how do you reduce the burden of disease in the country, because the suffering is big, diagnoses are delayed. Net, the objective is with the quality and affordable medicines that Indian pharmaceutical companies are able to manufacture, how do we aim for the patient who is consuming the medicine to live a better quality of life? So larger objective should be in terms of how overall the burden of disease, maybe in cardiology, metabolics, respiratory, neuropsychiatry, these are all chronic ailments. And we, being the custodian of the healthcare sector in the country, and in our own way, what more we can do in terms of help patient to lead a better quality of life, that is what I see. And equally, what I think companies have done, and we are also trying to do in our own way, is tomorrow how to see R&D in India is not going to be big. There are not many NCs which you can boast about. But I think there's a huge scope in improving the drug delivery, in terms of getting new ways of delivering the drug, maybe in the form of inhalation, maybe in the form of OROS technology, maybe in the form of tomorrow extended release. So that is what I'm trying to tell in terms of how do you either improve the way drug has to be delivered in the patient's body, or how tomorrow you work towards incremental innovation, which will overall help overall patient to take the full dose, or tomorrow continue to have the chronic medication, because chronic medication has to be taken lifelong. So these are 2 things which I think over a period of time will help the society to live a healthy life.
Right. Finally, as we wrap up this interview, tell me, what is the road ahead for JB Pharma? What's your vision for the company?
So we'll continue to focus in India, what I shared earlier. We continue to focus in terms of what we want to do in terms of brand building, making big brands bigger. How tomorrow we can serve more and more number of patients in the country. Should be responsible for bringing smiles on their faces when they consume JB medicine. That is what we would like to aim at. Also, huge opportunity that we have in terms of what we can do in the world of CDMO, in the world of ROW markets. And net, I think by 2025, this organization will be completing 50 years. So we will look at how do we strengthen ourselves as a company and make an organization which is progressive, which conceptually should be resilient to difficult times, what we saw in COVID as difficulty. And as an organization, we want to define ourselves as a simple, agile and reliable organization. Simple in the way we operate, reliable because we are responsible for patients' health, and agile to the entire changing needs evolving from our customers, and look at how do we make ourselves in terms of in line with what they expect from us over a period of time. So that is what we would like to define overall vision for JB as a company.
Well, those are some very interesting observations. Thank you so much for speaking to us.
Thank you.
With that, it's a wrap on this episode of IDFC First Bank Presents Leaders of Tomorrow Season 11. We hope you enjoyed the conversation. Thank you and good night.